Hello, world. Oh, sorry. Moved my computer without meaning to. Hello, world. Can you hear me all right, folks? Please tell me, anyone who's watching, if you are able to hear me well. I am not very familiar with this platform, so bear with me for a little while. There might be some hiccups here and there as I sort of get used to this interface. The main thing is that people were awesome, so awesome, in letting me know what they wanted as far as where and when I should stream. So I am going with it, and we are streaming on YouTube Live, and I'm psyched about it. I'm just not super familiar with it. it um, there may be some hiccups. So anyway, hi to anyone who's here. I am Lynsey G. I am the co-founder and editor-in-chief of Oneshi Press. I am, excuse me, what I like to call a word person. I am a writer, editor, poet. That's a different kind of writer. So I write things, I edit things. It's my whole biz. And I am here today to read to you the almost final draft of a story I've been working on for quite a long time called Maids. I hope you're all excited. I am very nervous. This story has been in the works for probably about 15 years, honestly. I don't honestly know when I wrote the first draft, but it was probably somewhere around 2008. And I've just been poking at it since, and now it's almost ready to be born. And what I would like to do is share it with you and hear what you think about it before I do the final edit and then do the publishing stuff. So, oh, hi, Tech. Hello, David. Hello, Carria. I don't know if you're back in on the account that you switched to or not. Hi, Eileen. Hello. Oh my gosh, there's people here. That's great. I'm not nervous. It's fine. Oh, hello, Carria. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Let me know if I should be pronouncing that differently. So, excuse me. Like I said, I'm new to this platform. I was having some technical difficulty getting on here in the first place. So I'm going to just take a little time, let the energy come down a little bit, just vibe for a second. How's everybody doing? How's your week going? Mine has been a whole vibe unto itself this week. There's been a lot going on, and I imagine that might be true for some of you as well. So tell me what's up. I just opened the wrong version of the story. Hang on. I also am wearing my glasses. They're progressive lenses, so they start like less intense prescription up here, and then it gets more intense down here. So normally when I'm wearing these glasses, I have to be like looking through the bottom of them. So just bear with me. I'm going to be making the font on the story much bigger so that I don't have to do that through the bottom of the glasses. But it's, there's a whole lot of tech going on. Let's see. Carria says, long time. I can relate. We will all be the aunties and uncles. Oh, okay. So it is Korea. Awesome. Korea. Oh, hi, Adrian. Hello. How's it going? It's good to see you. Well, see you. All right. I'm gonna have a little sip of tea. Maybe. Ooh, it's probably too hot. No, that's all right. Okay, gotta have my tea. Gotta have my water. I'm a multiple drink goblin. All right, so folks, this story is the second in I won't call it a series, I will call it a collection called Tales from Existentia. Basically, it's a whole bunch of novella length short stories that some of which I've been working on, like this one, for 15 years or so, which I just hadn't really done anything with for a long time. And they're finally getting ready to be shared with the world. And so I am doing live readings of them. The last one that I published, I also did live readings from leading up to publishing it. And that was Dwayne. This is my first tale from Existentia. It is a sort of surrealist tale about a woman who wakes up and finds a 15-ton boulder sitting in her living room, having gotten there by no means she can understand. It hasn't done any damage, and she's more or less forced to live with this thing until she can figure out how to get rid of it. So she forms sort of a friendship alliance with it while trying to figure out how to get the insurance company to actually take the thing out of her house. Her whole life changes, at first for the better, and then decidedly for the worse. It is lightly illustrated by my partner at Oneshi Press and in life, J.L. Draco, who also did the cover for it. This came out last spring, and to much success on Kickstarter, and it is now available on our online store, oneshipress.com/store. So if you're interested in taking a look at that, it is available in paperback, ebook, and audiobook. And that's the first in this collection. The one that I'm reading today, Monkey Maids, is the second. Oh, wow, people are chatting. Oh, hi. Tech says, BRB, I'm going to switch to PC so I can draw while I listen. Good call. All right. Eileen says, breathe, girl, you're fine. It's been a hectic day. I've been running around a lot. It's going to take a little while for my energy to calm down. Karia says, currently drawing while listening as well. Oh, awesome. Awesome. I love the idea of people making art while I'm reading to them. It's a good dynamic. David says, is Dwayne one of those? I think I already answered your question. Dwayne is a tale from Existentia, but if you meant a different one of those, please specify. Everybody's saying hi to everybody. Excellent, lovely, wonderful. I wanted to mention real quick before I get started that Oneshi Press, who is my publishing company that published Dwayne and is going to be publishing Monkey Maids, has a Kickstarter live right now. So if you're watching this live and you were not aware, or even if you were aware, you might want to go check it out. If somebody would put the link in chat, that would be fantastic. Right now we have a Kickstarter live for our fantasy series, Children of Gaia. It is an extremely immersive, gigantic fantasy world that JL and his friend Chris have been co-developing for almost 30 years. I've been helping out with it for about the last 10. And we are currently kickstarting a tabletop game that takes place in the world. It's really fun, really easy to play. It's called the Mag Tower. You can play it from anywhere with anyone, and you don't need to be an experienced gamer. It's a really fun way to get together with friends for, half an hour, 45 minutes at a time. We're also fundraising along with that a comic book, a short comic that tells some of the backstory behind what goes on in the Mag Tower game. And there's also a gorgeous coloring book by our friend Shadowwind that you could color the flora and fauna of the fantasy land in which both of those other things take place. So please take a look at that if you are watching this before the end of the day on March 16th, 2023, because that's when the Kickstarter is ending. After that, you'll probably be able to find it elsewhere, but right now we are trying to get that Kickstarter, jump started. So check that out when you have a chance, hopefully after you have already listened to my entire reading. It's going to be fantastic. Let's see. Tech says, I might draw a certain kitty story. Oh, I think I know which story that is. And David Garringer says, Mag! I can't wait to play again. David is a rabid Mag Tower player and very good at it. Incredibly ruthless during the game. All right, folks. I think I've bantered. All right. Before I start reading this story, let me tell you a little bit about it. This is an absurdist tale. It is told from the perspective of one of two roommates sharing a 2-bedroom apartment. And he has just purchased 17 monkeys when we enter the story. The rest of the story more or less plays out from there. I hope that 17 monkeys in a 2-bedroom apartment is enough to get you interested, because I don't really have much of a blurb for the story worked out beyond that at this point. So I am going to read the first 3 chapters. I'll probably be taking some breaks, to sip some tea and talk to chat. And what I am hoping I can get from people who are watching is just input on the story, what you think as we go through, and afterward I might have some more specific questions. I have not shared this beyond the first half of the first chapter with just about anyone. So I am nervous to share it with people, but I'm also really excited to kind of see what people's impressions are and what they're taking away from it, and if there's anything that I can do in the last stages of editing to massage it in the direction I want it to go. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what anybody might have to say as we move through and after I'm finished with the reading. Let's see. David punched me in the back of the face, says JL. Yes, that did happen in the last game that we played of the Mag Tower, but if I remember correctly, JL, I'm pretty sure that you also punched David in the back of the face. So let's not get too high horsey up in here. Tech says, does YouTube not have the live links in chat? Oh no. Okay, well, if you can't do a live link in the chat on Facebook, I wish I had like a little thing to put up across the bottom of the screen, but it's kickstarter.oneshipress.com. Very simple. Kickstarter, just like it sounds. Oneshi Press is ONESHIPRESS.com. Go check it out, folks. You could even do a little like kickstarter.oneshipress.com. All right, folks. I hope you're ready. I'm going to take another sip of tea. Then it's monkey time. Time for monkey business, I suppose. Here we go. Chapter 1. You want a what, Tamarin? I screamed into the phone. The noise in the kitchen was deafening. One with a mustache, yelled the guy on the other end. We'd been trying to communicate what kind of monkey he wanted for a few minutes now, but every time I tried to calm the din around me, the primates just screeched and howled louder. I couldn't leave the room for fear they would maul me or each other in the current frenzy, so I just kept shouting over the ruckus. I saw one at the zoo, he said. They're cool as hell. Look, I don't have any mustache monkeys, you hear me? I ducked under a small projectile lobbed by a marmoset, one of the big ones with the crazy ear tufts. Not that a big marmoset is very large. Bert and Ernie, as I'd been calling them, probably weighed less than half a pound each, but they dwarfed Marge, the pygmy marmoset, who I'd been training to wrap her entire body around my middle finger. I can give you a golden lion, Tamarin, I continued, noting a flash of gleaming golden fur amongst the brawl on the table. I hadn't named him yet. He'd mostly kept to himself so far, but now he seemed to be part of the fray. Maybe he was coming out of his shell. He's got, like, a mane. It's cool. Way better than a mustache. Across the room, the male spider monkey swooped down into the sink from atop the refrigerator, sending smaller monkeys leaping out of the way, gibbering madly. The capuchin threw himself at my head, nostrils splayed wide like all four of his legs. I had to duck to avoid getting a black-furred foot in the eye. The little chaos goblin, who I was calling Clyde, smacked into the wall on the other side of me, spread eagle, and slid to the ground shrieking, then ran to a far corner and crouched warily. I'd have to keep an eye on that one. At nearly the size of a small cat, he could wreak havoc if he wanted to. Either take the golden lion or get off the fucking phone, I yelled into the receiver. For fuck's sake, I was trying to rent him a monkey to take to his high school reunion. I could guarantee he would be the only one there with a primate on his shoulder, whether it had facial hair or a mane. What was the holdup? Can you hear what I'm dealing with here? I said. It's a madhouse. There was a short pause, during which Polly, the rhesus macaque, hopped by, whooping, with his arms aloft and mouth puckered into a perfect O. One of the talapoins clung to his head, looking both nervous and gleeful, her eyes wide and grin wider. Fine, I'll take it, the guy on the phone finally muttered. Good, I'll text you the address. Pick him up at 8. I stabbed the off button. Imbecile. I put his name, Jordan, I thought, into my contacts, fired off my address, and dropped the phone into my back pocket. I briefly considered writing up an invoice on that old paper tablet I'd found, thinking it would make the transaction feel more legal than it technically was. But then I reasoned there would be a paper trail, and that was something I could do without right now. And, especially given the tumult around me, analog record keeping felt too ponderous for the speed at which things were moving. Just finding the invoices in the makeshift bar I had dragged in from the sidewalk would take me too long at this point. Liz figured it was not a bar, but a desk, and she had a point. Because in the top drawer I had found a bunch of loose paper clips, some receipts, a few empty envelopes, a tablet of those old invoices with carbon paper behind each sheet, and a comic book from the mid-90s. I hadn't read it until Liz left for her sister's wedding in California. With the recent tension between us, I had been spending more time out, at school, at friends' places, at bars, while she was home. But after she had flown to the Bay Area for 2 weeks, I found myself with more relaxation time at home. I had painted the living room. I had cooked up all the food we had in the house. I had spent some time perfecting my blue suede shoes rendition in the shower. And finally, I had gone through drawers of our makeshift bar, pondering what to do with the paper invoices, and then sat down with the comic book. The art was classic 90s, and the story was decent. A half-goblin hunting zombies and arguing with a skull that lived in his arm. And in the back, a treasure trove of ancient ads for mail-order goods the likes of which I hadn't seen since childhood. Knickknacks, cassette tape subscription programs, encyclopedias, and one small advertisement for purchasing monkeys. Buried in the middle of the other ads, it was like no big deal, like it belonged there. I had flipped the book over, looking for the name of the publishing company, some indie outfit that was surely no longer in business. Couldn't be, letting shady monkey salesmen advertise in their books. But still, I had to try, right? I hadn't expected to get anyone on the phone when I had called to inquire about the primate variety pack, but the possibility was too rich to leave alone. Even when an old man picked up and took all my questions, and my credit card number, I had been skeptical. He'd seemed a bit too eager to part with his furry friends, but for the low, low price of $45.95 apiece, the deal was simply too juicy to pass up. Since I was bringing him such a payday, I had talked him down to the standard variety pack price, even with a mated pair of spider monkeys thrown in. Now, just 10 days later, here I was, just over $750 out of pocket, with my checking account nearing zero, and 17 monkeys in an outright melee in my kitchen. It had been an interesting 5 days. Oh, I'm going to check chat. I don't have chat open while I'm reading, so. Oh, hello, silent speaker. Yes, JL. JL called it. I'm referencing Mr. Guy. Half-Goblin Zombie Hunter sounds like a fun read. Wink. If anyone out there is not aware of Mr. Guy Zombie Hunter, that is also an Oneshi Press story. You can get it on our online store. Check it out. Okay, back to the story. I had brought the monkeys some cheese noms about an hour ago, buying them on a whim when I'd run out for coffee. But 3 boxes had only whetted the dairy fiend's appetites, and fights had broken out as the supply dwindled. The male spider monkey had made off with his weirdly long arms full of tasty treats, and the tension in the room had exploded into mayhem that had yet to subside. There were only crumbs left scattered around the kitchen, but animosity over the cheesy morsels was still sparking up into violence all around me. Considering the situation, I resolved then and there to take payment up front, no refunds. If the people at your event took offense to a primate's behavior or physiology on the job, tough shit, not my problem. Monkey's gonna monkey, as I had learned quickly enough. And now I had to get 7 of these demons ready for their first rental gigs. I straightened up slowly, surveying the room. I was suspicious that the female spider monkey had a concussion. She had been pushed from the ceiling fan by an overexcited Peruvian night monkey, quite a feat considering how much smaller the night monkey was. Now she'd been shaking her head lazily and petting her own tail in the corner by the bar for about 10 minutes. If she didn't shape up, I might have to send her mate to the LGBT charity event in her place. I hoped they had a costume planned so his genitals wouldn't be in plain view. Then again, as it turns out, it's pretty hard to tell the difference with spider monkeys, so maybe the queer philanthropists would be none the wiser. The brassy orange of the golden lion tamarind's fur, I wondered who had named the subspecies, as golden was clearly a misnomer, now glinted from inside an open cabinet above the sink. He had moved up to the relative safety behind a few cans of Liz's organic vegetarian soup, where he was watching the frenzy below with a kind of quiet calculation. Should an opportunity for a stray cheese nom crumb present itself, I was certain he would be on them in the blink of an eye, but he saw no point in staying in the danger zone unless that happened. Smart little dude. I started across the room toward him, moving slowly and smoothly to avoid further alarming the squalling masses. Most of them were small enough to pose little threat on their own, but if a frenzy of claws and teeth and opposable thumbs were to ensue, I was pretty certain they could rip a man to pieces working in tandem. And if the squirrel monkey got involved, it was all over. I had a feeling that thing was vicious. Sidling up to the tamarin, I tried to project a sense of innocuous goodwill. He'd been docile enough in our interactions during the 5 days he and the others had been here, and he'd gotten pretty comfy on my leg last night while we all watched David Attenborough specials together. So when I held my arm out like a perch and hoped he would jump on, I was surprised that he only stared at me, unmoving except for a wary blink of his beady eyes. His tiny mouth was tightly drawn. But I had to get him bathed and ready for his gig tonight. He needed to sit on that dumbass's shoulder and look good doing it. I couldn't help but shake my head. Who the hell takes a monkey to a high school reunion? James, or whatever his name was, must be trying to impress a girl. Truly terrible plan. What an idiot. But it was an easy gig, and it would pay enough for the little lion to be swimming in cheese noms for a week. Not that I would give them to him. I had learned my lesson. I wiggled my fingers like I had food in my hand, but the tamarin remained unconvinced. What would it take to convince these barbarians that I was on their side? Keeping it cool and glancing around to be sure I hadn't drawn any attention, I grabbed him by the back of the neck, and in one smooth motion I stuffed him under my shirt to avoid detection. He chirped and clawed at my stomach. Unlike the rest of the monkeys, whose finger and toenails were smaller versions of mine, this dude had real-ass claws, and he knew how to use them. Still, I held him firmly and made for the bathroom, his tail swinging wildly from beneath the white cotton of my V-neck. A few of the others looked up at the commotion, but were too busy knocking each other's skulls on the table to care about my hasty retreat. All right, that's chapter 1. So what do you think? Does anybody have a favorite monkey yet? Let's see. Oh, hi, Yuki. Okay, people are saying hi to each other, talking about Mr. Guy. Not my monkey, not my circus, but this time it is your monkey, says David. Yeah, exactly. Literally the ringleader of the circus here. Jail says, just don't buy monkeys from the back of a magazine. Let them live in your house and rent them out for parties. I promise it's not a good idea. Yuki suggests giving them cookies. Probably better. The cheese noms did not go over well, but who knows? Cookies might be great. David says, I've been Googling all the different monkeys. I have been researching monkeys quite a bit for the past year or so. I know way more about different species of monkeys than I used to. I'm still not super good at remembering which ones are from which part of the world, though. There's so many. Cookies are always the correct answer, says Adrian. I agree. I should get some cookies. Jail, that's a suggestion. I don't think we actually have any cookies, though, so, But if you locate any, feel free to bring some in. For anyone who's not aware, Jail is just in the other room. David says, I was like, what is a racist macaque? No, it's a rhesus macaque. I mean, I don't know what their feelings are about race, but I would venture to guess that macaques probably don't have racist leanings. I hope. Because otherwise I'm going to have to write the macaque out of the story entirely, and I don't want to do that, I'm getting kind of attached. Rhesus macaques are the most common type of macaque, and actually, like, if you just look up pictures of monkeys, probably a macaque is going to be one of the first ones that comes up. They're relatively large. They have shortish tails, and they're just kind of normal looking monkeys. I'm not sure if they're rhesus macaques or if it's like another subspecies, but macaques are what they call Japanese snow monkeys, the ones that you see videos of, like lounging in hot tubs. Those are macaques. Let's see. Jail says, I will walk to the store slowly. Tex says, oh, it's winter outside. It's actually pretty nice out today, but it is icy out. Yeah, so maybe don't do that, Jail. Lynsey really wrote the macaque out of the story. No, rhesus macaques. I had a friend in high school who really loved primates, and she had a shirt that says, there's no right way to eat a rhesus, and there's a picture of a macaque on it. All-time favorite. Tamarin looks so cool. It's like a lion monkey, right? Yeah, there are a bunch of different kinds of tamarins. I think the emperor tamarin is the one with the very fancy mustache, but I decided to go with a golden lion tamarin for this story. And they do. They have really like shiny copper colored fur. It's long and very luxurious. All right. Going back in for chapter 2, folks. Here we go. Chapter 2. I tried to extricate the tamarin when we reached the bathroom, but now he decided he wanted to stay where he was, clinging to my stomach by grabbing my body hair in his fists. Get your paws off the goods, dude, I hissed as I closed the bathroom door with my foot, softly as I could, but it still slammed. The hullabaloo in the kitchen ceased for an instant, then started back up again. With my free hand, I turned on the bathroom sink and tried to adjust it to a lukewarm temperature. Difficult, given the antiquated dual knob setup, and doubly so with a manic tamarin in my other hand, now grabbing onto my shirt from the inside. I kept at him, trying to tease him gently off the cotton poly blend, but the little monster somehow worked his way up to my torso instead. When he grabbed hold of a nipple and twisted, I dragged him away from my body forcefully, with much swearing from me and squalling from him. A quick glance in the mirror showed me grimacing, white teeth on full display in an unintentional mimicry of the small primate I held as gently as I could, but still tightly enough to prevent his escape. Then I shoved him under the gushing water. The shock sent him in hysterics, and it occurred to me that perhaps I would have done well to spend a few more days with the troupe before sending them out for paid gigs. Nearly a week had felt like plenty of time to me, but maybe trust took longer to build? That seemed like something Liz would say. But she was the reason these furballs had to start earning their keep in the first place. How else was I going to convince her to let me How else would I convince her to let me keep them when she got home from her trip? Otherwise, I'd have spent nearly $1,000 to hang out with monkeys for a few days before having to rehome all of them, and be left with an extremely pissed-off roommate. Liz wasn't quick to anger, but when she finally reached her boiling point, it was not pretty. She'd been at a low simmer for a few months now, and if the party primates idea didn't charm her, I had a feeling there would be full-on fireworks. I lathered up the tamarin with some of Liz's fancy-smelling shampoo. It felt important to keep this remarkably soft, luxurious fur glossy for customers. He resisted the bath at first, with much gnashing of tiny teeth that matched my own, but after a few minutes of struggle, he realized he was getting a free massage and gave in to my caresses. The pleasant, fruity, clean smell of the soap probably helped. The product smelled different on the monkey than it did on Liz, more like fruit-flavored candy than the real thing. Weird. By the time I put him in a hand towel and rubbed him down, he was smiling and gurgling like a baby. I wondered if this technique would work for the larger animals. I might have to use the kitchen sink for them. It was wider than the tiny basin in the bathroom, and since we had no bathtub, it might be the only option. But the kitchen had no privacy, so in the event of any further food-related insanity, the largest of the pack might have to use the shower. That could take some training. But the prospect of Ricky the Guinan with his little beard all lathered up and wearing a shower cap held real merit. As I made my way through the living room with the lolling, relaxed form of the tamarin, I was pleased to notice that the noise coming from the kitchen had died down. It didn't sound exactly calm, but the hoots and clangs of kitchenware were subdued enough for me to hear my phone beeping in my back pocket. When we reached the bedroom, I nestled him quietly amongst the blankets to maintain his good mood, even though my nipples still hurt, little bastard. Then I retrieved my phone from my pocket to find a text from Liz. I hadn't heard from her for a few days during the height of the wedding events. It had made me restless, but I'd come up with a party primates idea during that time. And I noted, with so much to keep track of at home, I had been drinking markedly less. Liz would be pleased about that, at least. Weddings are great, the message read, but I'm ready to get back. Worried you'll burn the house down. I rolled my eyes. Burn the house down? You leave a coffee table full of candles burning when you head back out to the bar in the wee hours. One time, and you're an arsonist forever. Liz's contention was that because our coffee table was actually an overturned cardboard box with a shawl over it, the danger had been exceptionally high. And as she'd been fast asleep in the other room, the conflagration could have killed her. But my counter was that nothing had caught fire, and only one shawl had been ruined by dripping wax. Couldn't we call it even? At any rate, I was confident that she would be impressed when she got back and saw how well kept and totally not burned down the place was, especially now that there were 17 primates in it. My roommate was a great girl, one of my favorite people, really, but, a little crazy. That was probably what attracted me to her in the first place. We'd been thick as thieves from the moment a mutual friend introduced us during undergrad, and I had spent that entire weekend in her bed. A less interesting woman wouldn't have kept me interested that long, much less long enough to ask her to move in with me a few months later. I breathed out a sigh of frustration. Reminiscing wasn't useful now, only forward momentum. I typed back, "Don't worry, the monkeys and I are fine." She'd probably discount my text as a joke, but as she was returning tomorrow, it was about time to give her a little heads up, I thought. I pocketed the phone and grabbed my hairbrush, noting that I'd have to buy some better grooming utensils once I got the business rolling. This cheapo plastic number did fine on my mid-length waves, but it wouldn't last long against the mountains of monkey fur it was now responsible for. I went to town on the tamarin, who cooed and grinned at me while I hummed the theme to an old Disney cartoon that popped into my head. Something about an overly sweet lion saving his family of sheep from roving wolves, making him the savior of the flock. Which brought me back to the problem I'd been pondering before the cheese gnomes debacle. How to explain the presence of a horde of primates to Liz. She would, I was certain, be displeased to learn that I had spent well over half of the rent on impulse purchasing them. If all went according to plan, the little cretins would earn back what I paid for their gigs, or what I paid for them at their gigs tonight, so the truth wouldn't need to come out. Plus, Liz was a staunch animal rights advocate who occasionally ranted about how treating living beings as property was unethical at best, outright slavery at worst. I had already grappled with this fact while deciding to rent the monkeys out. I wasn't sure how that would fly. Renting was, of course, a toned-down version of ownership, but I hoped that I could spin it as merely an exchange of money for services rendered. At any rate, I would clearly need to position the monkeys in the apartment story as an adoption. Maybe one where I was the savior of the flock, like Lambert, the sheepish lion. Reminded me of this little tamarin with his pleasant temperament, risk-averse personality, and the fine strawberry blonde fur everywhere but his feet and face. I worried his mane would get stuck in a less than pleasing shape if not properly dried, which would kill the vibe for this moron's high school reunion. I contemplated using a blow dryer. Would that be nice for little Lambert here, or overwhelming? As I pondered the question, my phone beeped again. "Monkeys?" Liz had written. "I hope you're kidding, Leo. See you tomorrow." Texts make it difficult to tell if someone is having a go at you or truly concerned or annoyed. I never used to wonder with her. She used to roll with things more easily, but now I read many of her texts as hostile. I glanced back at the tamarin, then typed, "Where do you keep your hairdryer?" Lambert purred, grabbing my wrist with his minuscule hairless hands as I smoothed his mane down. The blow dryer was probably the way to go. "On my dresser," Liz replied. "Please don't electrocute yourself." I huffed out a sigh. That woman needed to chill the hell out. I was a grown-ass man. I could handle a hairdryer. I laid the tamarin back down on the bed, where he snuggled deeper into the covers and sighed contentedly. Tiptoeing out of the bedroom, I put on my game face and headed for the kitchen. To my surprise, the monkeys were now calm, mostly napping or grooming one another in the cupboards and corners. A few babbled quietly upon my approach, and the female spider monkey stopped petting her tail to greet me with a little wave. In the end, it seemed the cheese noms had been appreciated, even given the mayhem they'd caused. One had to assume that thrust together in a large group in a new place, situations like the Crackers disaster were necessary to establish a pecking order. Maybe it was a good thing we'd gotten that out of the way early. Still, it was clear that from now on they were eating fruits and veggies only. Entering Liz's room off the kitchen, I found the hairdryer on her dresser, along with her comb and a few styling products. My hand hovered over the spread for a moment as I took in the corkboard full of photos from her college days. Every time I came in here, I looked for one of me, even though I knew I wouldn't find one. After all, we'd only met at the end of her senior year. I didn't even go to her school, and we'd only spent that one weekend together before graduation. Still, I always thought we should have had one lousy photo together from our glory days. All two of them. Shaking my head, I considered whether it would be wise to use Liz's styling products on Lambert, possibly incurring her wrath. But with tonight's earnings, I could buy her more, new, and better products. I grabbed everything. Lambert really liked the styling cream, and we had a little tiff over his repeated attempts to eat it from the bottle. But when the hairdryer turned on, he lost all interest to abject terror. I kept it on a low setting, though, and within a few minutes he was like butter in my hands. What a sweet little monkey. We played with a few different styles, but eventually decided on a sleek, shiny look that would go over well at a high school reunion. The tamarin fell asleep on my pillow as I went to get the female spider monkey. Whew, that was a long chapter. All right, taking a sip of tea. So what's going on in here? Let's see. Oh boy, wow, there's been a lot of chat. I can't see it at all when I'm reading because I have the screen full of the text that I'm reading from. So I haven't seen any of this. Let's see. Okay, tamarins are amazing. Yes, we like tamarins. Everybody agrees tamarins are great. Excellent. Hello, Shadowwind. David says, it's cool hearing the story and imagining the different monkeys just going wild. It's really immersive. Thank you, David. Yeah, I had a lot of fun imagining different personalities for all the monkeys too. You know, like who acts what way, who's fun, who's scary. All right. Oh, don't worry about missing the first little bit, Shadowwind. I spent a long time talking because I was really nervous. Manic Tamarin, the band. What kind of music do you think Manic Tamarin would play? I feel like calypso punk or something that's mixing different genres, something like that. Yuki says, that person is not very good with monkeys. You are correct. He doesn't know what he's doing at all, and he probably should not have any monkeys. David said, one question that came up for me is, are these roommates experienced in handling monkeys? No, they are not. One of them doesn't even know that there are monkeys in the apartment yet. So, yeah, no experience. Really, whoever it is that's running the monkey selling business should definitely be put out of business, which might be why he was so eager to part with so many monkeys so quickly and for so little money, perhaps. But we don't know. We don't know what's up with that guy. All we know is what's up with this guy who's narrating the story. Nice. Oh my goodness, so much chat. What's Poppers? Mr. Poppers Penguins, the storybook. I don't know that book, but that does sound right up Yuki's alley. Monkeys. I agree with Liz, fire hazard. Right? This guy cannot be trusted. Also, the name Liz makes me think of my friend's chicken puppet. Liz the chicken puppet? That's so cute. Oh, hi, Ryan. Oh, don't worry. Don't worry about missing half an hour. This is all going to be available on YouTube later, so you can always check back in on what's going on with the monkeys. Thanks for being here. David says, at least 3 monkeys are nice. I'd be terrified they'd eat me. Yeah. I feel like, people say that you have to be on your guard with cats because, like, they'll eat you if they think that you're dead. I feel like monkeys are even scarier. Like, now, I don't really know what I'm talking about. I've never spent any appreciable amount of time with monkeys. I actually had quite a strong anti-monkey prejudice for a long time. I think it's an uncanny valley thing. Like they look so much like people that they freak me out a little bit. So doing the research for the story has been interesting. I've had to come face to face with my thing about monkeys, but I don't think that I would be comfortable being responsible for any number of monkeys at a time. Like maybe in like, one of those controlled environments, like a monkey rescue where they're like, yeah, you can hold this monkey because it's nice. Like maybe, but that would only be because there'd be someone there who's like a professional that can take it away from me if it starts trying to claw out my eyeballs or something. You're terrified your cats will eat you? Oh no. Sounds like not a that sounds terrible. I'm so sorry. Chow wakes me up by testing if he can eat me almost every morning, says JL. Yeah, me too. Me too. He's checking to make sure that we're alive. He loves us. But if we're not alive, he will do us the honor of making us a part of him. I think. I think that's how he thinks about it. Tarmuck's product placement. Indeed. This is Tarmuck's. This is our in-world coffee shop. This is probably where Leo went to get coffee and on his way home stopped and got 3 boxes, cheese knobs for his primate friends. I'm probably going to edit that little bit to actually make it officially a Tarmuck's run. I couldn't figure out how to do it on the fly while I was reading, but I'll probably go back in and change that. Tex says, I'm convinced that's how I'm going to go. See, I always thought, though, that cats, like, as long as it's only a few cats, you don't have to worry while you're alive. It's that after you're gone, they will probably eat you, is what I heard. But where I heard that was, I think, Sex and the City, so, I don't think I would take that too seriously. Chow knows you're tasty, says Eileen. Yeah, he thinks we smell great in the morning. It's hilarious. He's like all up in our faces like, oh yeah, give me that morning breath. Cats are weird. Instead of a bunch of small monkeys, maybe one large gorilla. That's very nice, says Adrian. Actually, I would totally hang out with gorillas. Like, I would not want to hang out with gorillas in a situation where the silverback was like maybe going to get mad at me. I would want to avoid that at all costs because that is really scary. But for the most part, gorillas are super chill. Like, I would totally hang out with a bunch of gorillas. Death by Cat Lady. One large gorilla, the band. Yeah, hey. I would totally hang out with one large female gorilla as long as I had like enough training that I could like work my body language so that it didn't accidentally like upset her, because I feel like she could really mess me up if I did something wrong accidentally. Okay. Adrian trying to do Twitch commands on. Yeah. So in the little like questionnaire that I had people fill out, I asked if they would prefer I do live on Twitch or live on YouTube. And I got a pretty strong sentiment that YouTube is better for more people. I think because like most people have a YouTube account, so they can get involved in chat more easily and it's easier for them to get in. Whereas Twitch, being newer, is like there's a little bit more of a barrier to entry for people who don't know how it works. And you also can't chat unless you have an account. So this was the winner. And, we're just testing it out, seeing how it goes. So far, so good. After I panicked at the very beginning because I couldn't figure out how to go live, and I made JL come fix it for me. Since then, everything's been great. All right. The list of 1 million band names. Who's keeping this list? Because we've had some very good ideas in this chat alone. And I know there are plenty more on JL's usual weekly chats on his live streams. Shadowwind says, I think of all the primates, I like lemurs the most because they have cute long snouts. I agree. Monkeys do look a bit people-y. Well, and there's so many different kinds of monkeys. There's like some that really look very human, and then some that are like not human and somehow creepier because of it, because they're still like closer to human but not. Like there's this one kind, they're really little and they have like blue faces and big eyes and they look like little aliens. They creep me out. All right, okay. Folks, chapter 3. This is the last chapter that I'm going to read today. I think it's also kind of long, so I'm going to have a little more tea. All right, here we go. Chapter 3. The woman who had rented the spider monkey for the benefit showed up half an hour early, just as I was coaxing the bonnet macaque, Tina, because Auntie Entity was too weird, if you know, you know, into the shower with the last dregs of the fruity shampoo. She had become fairly pliable and was nearly under the spray when the buzzer at the front door went off. We both froze for a full second, and then Tina started shrieking while grabbing for the bottle in my hand. I clung onto it at first, but gave up when the buzzer rang again, figuring it was best to keep the place quiet while a client was here. As I exited the bathroom, I looked back to see the little opportunist squirting the shampoo directly into her mouth. Oh well, the label said the stuff was made from real fruit. Can't be too poisonous, right? I hoped not, because every monkey I'd used it on so far had tried to eat it. Except for Philo, the squirrel monkey. Scary dude, that one. Too smart for his own good. I went out to the door, separating the interior of the apartment from the outer door in the early... my God, redoing the sentence. I went out to the door, separating the interior of the apartment from the outer door to the frigid early spring air, silently thanking the Chicago weather for being so bad that even the cheapo apartments came with mudrooms. The horde of primates inside would surely attempt a mass exodus if they saw me open a single door to the outside. There was a very tall, very fit woman with gorgeous curly hair standing on the stoop with a suspicious look on her face. When I opened the door, she was checking her phone to be sure she had the right address. I guessed she'd picked up on the fact that this was indeed a cheapo apartment, not a snazzy strip mall business. "Hi, I'm Daisy," she said, extending a hand that dwarfed my own. I grinned. Daisy was the perfect name. "I'm here for the spider monkey, for the benefit," she continued quickly. "Right, of course, let me get her for you." I turned toward the interior door behind me, glad I had started grooming the beasts hours early. I wouldn't want to have to turn Daisy away for being early. She looked like a serious type. "Can I come?" she asked, peering over my shoulder as I turned the knob. I weighed my words carefully as I turned around. "I would prefer if you didn't," I replied with my most ingratiating smile. "They're a little excitable this evening." "Excitable? What does that mean?" She narrowed her eyes and seemed to gather herself, towering over me. "Is there going to be a problem with the spider monkey?" "No, of course not," I tilted my head. "The spider monkey is very sweet, well-trained. You'll have no problem with her." I scratched the back of my neck, looking up at her from underneath my lashes. "There was just, an incident earlier with some cheese noms, you know. And the night monkeys, well, they love cheese noms, so you can imagine the chaos." Daisy blinked. "I just don't want them getting upset again at this point, so I'm trying to keep things inside very mellow for the rest of the evening." I smiled again. "You understand, Daisy." She squinted in confusion, and I slipped quickly through the door behind me. "Cheese noms?" I heard her murmur behind me. Oh, I gotta take out that extra behind me. Boop. When I returned moments later with a beautifully groomed and very docile spider monkey, Daisy had her arms crossed and a set expression on her face. "What's going on in there?" she demanded, moving her hands to her hips. "Do you have a license for keeping primates in a..." She stepped back out of the outer door and gestured to encompass the surrounding townhouses. "A residential area?" She cocked her hips to the side meaningfully. "You know, Craigslist isn't the most well-reputed." I pulled myself up to my tallest, trying to level my gaze with hers despite the height difference. "Of course I have a license, Daisy. This isn't some fly-by-night operation," I replied in my most blithely confident voice, cutting her off. "What do I look like to you, some sort of non-primate specialist?" She squinted at me, pursing her lips as a few of her curls fell over her eyes. I briefly considered asking her about her styling products and routine. I would love to figure out how to make Lambert's mane do that. Instead, I soldiered on. "Look at this monkey." I held out the arm on which the spider monkey perched to the side so Daisy could get a better look at her, which also gave me a chance to flex. Daisy seemed the type to appreciate physical strength. The spider monkey appeared to have recovered from the earlier head trauma, or at least she had stopped petting her tail when I'd popped her in the shower and hadn't started up again. She was exceptionally docile, however, so I was glad that someone as put together as Daisy would be with her for the evening. Never trust a chilled-out monkey. That's my motto. A Geoffroy spider monkey, also known as the black-handed spider monkey. Ateles geoffroyi, I continued, giving the simian a pat, and feeling certain that I had butchered the Latin pronunciation. That's the problem with skimming things on Wikipedia. Native to Central America, I continued, she's one of the few simian species whose arms are longer than their legs. She's beautiful, isn't she? The monkey climbed back up to my shoulder where she crouched and began to stroke my ear, much like she'd been petting her tail earlier. Hoping that was a step in the right direction, I kept talking. I've been training her since she was a baby. Came in from an out-of-control fire at the sugar plantation where she'd been born. Thank God we saved her in time. Most of her family was lost to the insecticide incident a few months before, so she was all alone in the world. She goes by... I stopped myself for a moment, realizing I had been about to blurt Danny, but this was the female spider monkey. Sandy, after Olivia Newton-John in Greece. She's got quite a set of pipes on her. Daisy ran her tongue over her teeth, sizing up the situation. Her arms were crossed over her chest, but she was eyeing Sandy with a rapidly softening gaze. I leaned in conspiratorially. Please don't call her that until she's nice and comfortable with you. She might take offense to unearned familiarity. Until you're bonded, it's better to stick to Olivia or Liv, I concluded with a winning smile. I held my arm out toward Daisy, and Sandy climbed nimbly onto her shoulder, where she sniffed and then began picking through the woman's chestnut curls. Daisy's wide eyes got me talking again. As you can see, she's well socialized, quite amicable. Only thing to watch out for is people pulling her face fur, so be careful with that. It'll set her off in a shrieking fit. That much was true. Lucy the vervet monkey had received quite an earful a few days back when she'd given Sandy's jawline an experimental tug. It had taken a good half hour to get everyone calmed down after that altercation. Don't worry, I rushed on. She won't hurt anyone. As I said, amicable as all get out. But, as I also indicated, she's got an impressive vocal range. Sandy had crawled down toward Daisy's wrist while I was talking, and now the two were regarding each other. Daisy was regarding the monkey with a wide-eyed mix of awe and trepidation. I took the opportunity to seal the deal. As I'm sure you'll understand, Daisy, the biggest rule for your time with Sandy is absolutely no booze. Trust me, you do not want to get this little firecracker into the hooch. It is not good for her or for anyone at your fundraiser. Sandy's earnest appraisal and my responsible rulemaking seemed to melt Daisy's worry. She started nodding for my benefit while smiling gently at the primate, petting her with her free hand. We'd found ourselves a match. Have Sandy back by 1 a.m., please, I said with another smile. She's got a truly astonishing internal clock, and she'll go nuts with the poo flinging if she's out too late. Now, will that be cash or credit? Daisy barely broke her eyes away from Sandy's while she fished the cash out of her back pocket and handed it to me. I amaze myself sometimes. Now, back to the macaque. And that's that. That's the end of chapter 3. We are about a third of the way through the story. And that's it for this reading. Ta-da! Oh, boy, so much more chat. Oh, my goodness. Let's see. Adding that to the list. Okay, monkey stories. Oh, wait. Actually, not too much chat. Spider monkeys are awesome. We agree. Spider monkeys are another very widely appearing monkey. Like, if you look up monkeys, you'll see lots of spider monkeys and lots of macaques. Also, lots of great apes. Like, every time I look up monkeys, there's like a million pictures of chimps. And they're not monkeys. They're apes. Kind of drives me bananas. Anyway, Yuki says, this guy is full of so many lies. You are so right, Yuki. He is a lying liar pants. Yuki says, I want more monkeys. Yeah, well, there is more coming. Don't worry. Looking forward to listening from the beginning, says Ryan. Ooh, and backing the campaign, says Ryan. Yes. So this is indeed part of the lead up to a Kickstarter that will be funding Monkey Maids. We don't have the specific dates nailed down yet, but it will probably be like more or less the month of May is when we will be doing the Monkey Maids campaign. Fingers crossed. But we have a lot of work to do on it between now and then, and we have to finish up the campaign that we have live right now first. So keep your eyes open for that, folks. Karia says he's a super finesser. Yes, yes, he is a fast talker and a liar. Those things usually go together. Yep. It was really, really fun writing from the perspective of this character because he is not very much like me. He may or may not be based on a person who I know in real life, which may or may not have made it a little easier to write this character. But it was a total blast. And the really fun thing is, I wrote the first tentative drafts of this, like I said, a really long time ago. I think it was like 15 years ish. And then, I sat on it for a little while, went back to it. And then there was a long period of time where I didn't look at it at all. And I only started looking at it again in the past like 2 years. And it's really fun to revisit something that is so not me, but came out of me. It's been a good time working on this one. Thank you so much, Yuki. She says, I love the monkey story. I hope that you will continue to love it as it goes on. There's a lot more monkey action coming. So I am going to be reading the next part of the story 2 weeks from tonight. So that is what? The 22nd of March at around the same time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. And then I will finish the story on the following 2 weeks, Wednesday, which is April 5th. So March 22nd, April 5th are the next 2 readings. And each time I'm going to be reading about a third of the story. So by the end of the April 5th reading, we should be finished. Which means that I have to really make some decisions between now and then about some of the details of the ending. Because I've changed the ending quite a lot from what it used to be. And I'm still kind of finessing. So, what are people saying? Is there such a thing as a fast-talking straight talker? I think that they're out there. I'm sure that there are people who can do that. But I feel like if you have, what do they call it, the gift of gab, like the ability to fast talk, you're also, even if you habitually tell the truth, I think most people who are good at that are also very good at telling things that are not the truth when they think they need to. So, yeah. That's an interesting question. I wonder if there's any like studies out there about people who have the gift of gab and whether it's possible to be someone like that and like be truthful on the regular. Eileen says, awesome job, darling. You've really bloomed since your first Dwayne reading. Complete natural, Miss Thing. Thank you. Oh gosh, yeah, now I want to go back and watch my Dwayne readings. Those are available. If anyone here loves the melodic sound of my voice and wants to hear some more readings, I did do readings like this of Dwayne. I think they're either on this YouTube channel. I'm pretty sure they're on this YouTube channel. That was an early draft. So if you want like the whole finished version of Dwayne, I would recommend getting the audiobook from my online store, just saying. But yeah, you can get a taste of it by finding the links on this YouTube channel. I so want to watch this movie, says David. Oh man. That would be a lot of movies to have, or a lot of monkeys to have on set. Although it could be CG. They do some quite good CG of monkeys these days, or even just like straight up animation. Remember Abu from Aladdin? He was the best. Oh. Sorry. It's got a sudden tickle in my throat. Okay. Eileen says auctioneers. That's kind of what I was thinking, Eileen. But like, I wonder if someone who's like a real ass auctioneer that talks really fast, like, I wonder if that extends into their personal lives, you know? I guess if you have the gift, you have the gift. I don't know. Is anyone watching an auctioneer? Do you know any auctioneers? I would love to know more about that. More monkey business to come. Indeed, on the 22nd. Oh, Vlanders and Daijibu love the story too. Thank you, Vlanders and Daijibu. I'm so glad that they're listening. As folks who are prone to shenanigans themselves, I would love their feedback. Ugh. I think we streamed them on Twitch and then uploaded them to YouTube. Yeah, Jail. I'm pretty sure that the Dwayne readings were streamed live to Twitch, and now they're on YouTube for posterity. I can track them down and make a playlist if there isn't one already. I think that there is. I think that there are. Monkey Muppets. Monk Pets. Monkey Mupkies? No. Everything is better as Muppets. That's true, Adrian. And then it would be great to have a whole cast of Muppets with like the one human character, like A Christmas Carol. Who would play Leo? Daniel Radcliffe. Daniel Radcliffe as Leo would be perfect. How much changed from Dwayne live reading to the audiobook? I ask as a Dwayne owner. Honestly, I don't really remember clearly anymore. Like I know that I did make changes, but I don't remember to what parts or how much. It's just all kind of a blur at this point. Are there monkey Muppets? I feel like probably like here and there, like on Sesame Street or on the Muppet Show, there probably have been some monkeys, but they're not like regular. They're not part of the main cast of Muppets, you know. There might be background monkeys, yeah. Vlanders does vote for the story to have cake in it. Vlanders knows what's up. He knows what's going on. Okay. There was something I was going to say. Oh, okay. So, feedback. I actually wrote down some questions that I wanted to ask people after we finished up this reading. Okay, so the feedback I am getting so far is that we think Leo is full of shit, which is correct. But I'm wondering if there's any other thoughts about Leo. Like, you know, what if anybody just has thoughts or feelings or opinions about Leo, I would be interested to hear them. And so far from what Leo has told us, I wonder what people think about Liz. Knowing that, you know, we're hearing from Leo about Liz and that Leo is full of shit, I'm curious to see if people have questions or thoughts about her. Let's see. Gonzo's wife, Camilla, is the only chicken with a name, but I don't think she even counts as main cast. Yeah. I mean, she doesn't really she doesn't have much of Camilla doesn't have a whole lot of a role in most of what goes on. Like, it's never really clear if she actually cares about Gonzo the way that Gonzo cares about her. Karia says he's a hustler. Yes, that is that. Okay, so I'm writing him correctly. If you're getting that out of the Leo character. Yuki says, I wish the guy would think about what the monkeys want. Fair point. I think that is a huge part of the story, right? Like he thinks he wants what's best for the monkeys, but most of his behavior tends to show that he wants what's best for him because he doesn't know what's good for monkeys. He has no idea. Like, he's trying to be nice. He's certainly not trying to do anything mean to the monkeys on purpose. Yeah, he doesn't really know what's good for monkeys. Yeah. Texas. Yeah, the writers sort of forgot about their marriage and paired him up with Rizzo. Oh, Gonzo, right? It was like, me, I'm the writer. Oh, no, not of the Muppets. Shadowwind says, I did miss the first part, but I feel like Liz must have a lot of patience to put up with Leo's shenanigans. Yeah, Leo feels like she doesn't, because, you know, he acts like an idiot. And she pushes back sometimes. So, wait, Gonzo has a wife and she's a chicken? What? Yes. Gonzo is married to a chicken named Camilla. Liz is going to shriek like a howler monkey for sure, says Eileen. You'd probably write the Muppets better than the current staff, just saying. Thanks, Tech. That's a lot of faith you're putting in me. But I also don't work for Disney. I have a feeling that Disney has like serious rules about what you can do with the Muppets. So, all right. My other question is, what do you want more of? Like, what do you hope you see in the next 2 installments of this story? And this, I mean, this could be anything. This is a wide open question. But I think what I'm wondering is whether the way that I'm writing it is sort of like moving things in the direction that I want to move it in. So I'm interested in what people think or want to see out of the story. So if anyone has thoughts on that, please feel free to share them. I know it's kind of a wide open question, but oh, excuse me. It's a weird little tickle in my throat. David says, my main thing is how is Leo handling these monkeys so well with no experience? I feel like he would get mauled, but I can look past that. Well, I have to be perfectly honest here. I also have no experience with monkeys as a writer. So I'm sort of combining what I want to happen in the story with Leo's total unearned confidence and just thinking he's only had them for 5 days. So far, nothing's gone horribly wrong. Just, some tumults over food and stuff here and there. And we'll just see what happens. But that is a legit question. And my other hope with this story is that its absurdity is relatively easy to just nod and go along with. But I also want it to feel like real enough that you're invested. Tech says you're too progressive for Disney. You might be right. I have notes on most of the things I've seen from Disney lately. Yeah. Oh, I have only watched Muppet Babies, so no Chicken Wife. Yeah, Yuki, you would probably enjoy the Muppet Show, the old one. From when was that? Like the mid 80s ish when that was on TV. It's really fun. It's adorable. And Disney is still beholden to the Henson family charter for the Muppets. So now there's the Venn diagram of Disney rules plus Henson's rules that really bottlenecks the writing. Yeah. Yeah, I have a feeling that what the Henson Company is willing to allow does not necessarily jive with what Disney wants. So you get this weird in-betweeny thing. Yuki votes for clowns to be in the story. Well, that might take some serious rewriting, but I'll see if there's anywhere I can add one in. I believe they introduced her as his wife in the OG Muppet movie. Yeah, that sounds right. I think you might be right. They definitely showed Gonzo with a bunch of chickens in the Muppet Show before the movie, but I don't think they really formalized Camilla for a while. Henson's rules all the way. Got it. Okay. Eileen wants monkey hairballs. I wonder if monkeys get hairballs. I wonder, because they don't like groom themselves the same way as cats by like just licking, but they like groom each other and themselves with their hands and then like eat stuff. So they probably do ingest quite a bit of hair. That's an interesting Google search. If anybody feels like Googling that and then reporting back, I would be very interested to learn. Because like cats have a specialized digestive tract that like causes hairballs to form and come back up, right? It's like a thing that they've evolved to do, but I don't know if monkeys have. Now let's see. Oh my goodness. Okay. Liz is great. He needs a Liz. Leo is wild. Okay. All right, cool. That works. They fired Kermit's voice for trying to keep them true to character with his unsolicited notes. Ew, you're allowed to have notes as an actor. Ugh. I don't know if David can fight emus. Oh, I don't know. If David can fight emus, Leo can handle a troop of monkeys. Fair contention. All right. Tech says, Yuki can't watch the OG movie because of Nopes. Fair enough. Well, it's a cool movie, but it's certainly not a necessary movie. You can skip it. You don't need to worry about that. What is the Muppet Show about? The Muppet Show is great. It's the Muppets running like a theater variety show. It's hilarious. I'm curious about the stakes. What does Leo stand to gain or lose through the monkey business? That's a very good question, and that will be clarified more as time goes on. Right now, the stakes are really for him only whether he gets to keep the monkeys and charm his roommate when she returns home, or if she's going to get mad and make him get rid of the monkeys. For him, that's it. That's all he's worried about at the moment. And Leo is very much one of those people who gets really invested in something for a brief period of time and is focused solely on that. So that's his main thing. He's just trying to get this monkey business off the ground so that Liz won't make him get rid of the monkeys. So at this point, that's where we're at. The stakes are quite low, actually. Now, as far as the monkeys are concerned, the stakes are like, can this person actually care for us in the way that we need to be cared for? But that's not what Leo is thinking about. I mean, he's trying to care for them, but clearly, he's a fucking idiot. So, if Yuki gets clowns, then I'm putting in a formal request for pinball machines. Pinball machines and clowns in the same place might be doable. Pinball machines might be easier to work in because, like you go to an arcade or whatever, or even a bar or a restaurant that has arcade games, they may not have clowns. We'll see what we can do. And a robot, says Tech. Oh my goodness. Okay. This story is changing direction wildly. The original Muppet movie is how Kermit met them all and they all started the show. Did the Muppet Show have anything scary? Yuki, there's a lot of Muppet Show. There are a lot of them. So hard to say, but probably like here and there, they do like sketches. So there'll be, 5 minutes of this scene, 5 minutes of that scene. And probably some of them, there might be like masks involved. I don't know about balloons. There might be some balloons. But most of the subject matter is really light and fun. And just silliness. Lots of silliness. Are the monkeys potty trained? Because yikes. There is sort of an ongoing theme starting later in the story where he's talking about trying to figure out diapers for the monkeys and how, you can get baby-sized diapers for some monkeys, but then like the pygmy marmoset, which can fit around his middle finger, he said, obviously you can't buy anything that works for something that small. So he starts trying to potty train them. It's a whole thing coming up. Okay, Leo gets monkeys, David gets emus, Yuki gets clowns, Ryan gets pinballs. I want Godzillas. Oh my goodness. This is not a kaiju story, JL. And a robot for Tech. Okay. So this is turning into like a very wild sort of action film is what we're doing. Right. Okay. I want tiny hats for the monkeys. We might be able to arrange some hats. I was thinking about, Leo's obviously thinking about costuming ideas. If he's renting them out and he could rent them out with costumes, then obviously you could charge more. So that might enter the picture. Maybe I'll just skip the Muppet Show, says Yuki. Blah, 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 blah. Finger band-aid for Pygmy. A little teeny one. I wonder if they're absorbent enough. Only one way to find out. Tech says, I'm doing that hyper-focus on the Muppets thing again. Hyper-focusing on the Muppets, clearly one of the best things to hyper-focus on. So, I can't fault that. David says, he does spend all his money on the monkeys, right? I could see that as a pretty big stake. True. So we do have a reveal later, I believe. I think it's still in there. I've gone through like 7 revisions of this, so I don't always remember exactly what's made the cut. But Leo is in school, so he's living on student loans right now, which means that his loans get replenished, but only rarely. So yeah, he just spent like all of his money on this, and he is banking on being able to make enough money back from the business that he won't be flat broke. So that's one of the big stakes here, but currently he's really not so worried about this. Like, he thinks, I got it in the bank. Like, these monkeys are going to be a huge hit. No problem. I just have to convince the roommate to let me keep them so we can keep making money off of the monkeys. Leo is not a very practical person, as we may have inferred. Adrian says, we likely discussed this before, but are there any closer connections to these anthology stories so far? Is there a symbolic or supernatural element to the monkeys that we somewhat saw with Dwayne? There is not a supernatural element in this story, no. The main thing... JL, feel free to jump in on this. I think he has actually way better insights on my writing than I do as an outside observer. But the main thing that ties these stories together is a sort of weird sense of surrealism and absurdism, and that sometimes involves supernatural elements and sometimes does not. This story only involves supernatural elements insofar as this guy has managed to keep 17 monkeys alive for 5 days without anyone dying or being seriously injured or, any of that. So you might call that a supernatural element, but that's really more of a suspension of disbelief kind of thing than an actual supernatural tie-in. So the thing that ties these stories together is really more of a sensibility, like a writerly sensibility, my weirdness, than like a sustained, easy to point to theme. But again, JL, I am interested to hear what you have to say. JL actually read a lot of my short fiction before I had really done anything with it. I think I had some of it up on my blog or something, and he read that before he and I met. So he's had a lot of time to think about this, and I don't know that answer. David says, Liz also seems like she's getting fed up with Leo, and this might be the last straw. He's about to be broke, single, and on the streets with 17 monkeys. Yeah, it'd be interesting to be on the streets with 17 monkeys, because I'm pretty sure as soon as they hit the streets, they're gone. I don't think you're getting 17 monkeys to hang out with you on the streets. Unless you have them all on leashes, which we have no evidence that he has leashes for these monkeys, or collars, or anything, besides some styling products that he stole from his roommate. God, what a piece of shit. Okay. Good question, Adrian, says Eileen. Tech says, okay, my grip on reality is loose, but even I know the monkey thing is a bad judgment call. Yeah, it's pretty in your face that this is a terrible idea. Eileen says, 17 monkeys, sequel to 21 monkeys. Yeah, maybe we can get Brad Pitt in here. Oh my gosh. Actually, Brad Pitt would be great to play this character. Like one of those very weird roles that he does from time to time that are just like, he just like disappears into them. That would be like 17 monkey. Okay. I feel like what connects them is that they take place in this absurdist world that we're calling Existentia, where this sort of thing just happens. Yeah, I think you're right, JL. But I feel like if there were to be anything else connecting, that wouldn't be revealed until quite a few were released. Yeah, I mean, this collection is a slow roll. There's a bunch more coming. For the life of me, I have like a mental block on how many other stories there are in this collection. I think it's around 5. I think with Dwayne and Monkey Maids, I think in addition there's like 4 or 5 others. And yeah, JL put it pretty well. Like they're all these kind of just weird stories that take place in a collective world, but they're not all directly related to one another. Like it's not a continuation of one story, which is why I'm not calling it a series. I'm calling it a collection. So it's like if you read collections of Stephen King's stories. Obviously, most of his short stories have a horror element to them, but not all of them do. Like, for instance, The Shawshank Redemption, The Body, The Breathing Method, and Apt Pupil are the 4 stories in Rita Hayworth and The Shawshank Redemption. No, crap. Different Seasons. It's called Different Seasons. Stephen King's collection of 4 novellas. And some of them are not horror, but they're all combined into one book because they fit together based on this weird vibe and because they're all Stephen King. Or Nightmares and Dreamscapes, a collection of much shorter, many more short stories by Stephen King. Most of them do have a horror element, but some of them aren't really what I would call horror. It's just, a collection of stories that go together in a less definable way. I suppose. Goat House, Rotten Roommate, The Box Store 1, Ukiah. The Ms. Math gonna be in a tale from... I'm not sure if Ms. Math is an Existentia tale or not. I don't really think it is. I think it's a different thing. Jail is naming other stories, by the way. And I know there's another one that I can't think of. I gotta go back through my files and find them. Is Ms. Math, gotta do the kibble thing to put off Death by Cat Lady another day. Godspeed, tech. Ryan says, will the Tales of Existentia be released roughly one per year? Probably. Ryan, we have discussed doing them faster. Part of me would really like to do them faster, but my schedule is such that I'm not sure I can really realistically edit and publish more than one per year. And because they're coming out from Oneshi Press, and we have so many other things coming out that we have to work the Existentia stories in with all of our other stuff. So right now we're at about one a year. If circumstances were to change in such a way that allowed for it, I would love to do more than one a year. But right now, I think that's about all that we can realistically manage. And at the end, we're hoping they're all going to be about the same size, and we'll put them all together in like a box set, so you can have your whole Existentia collection in a little box set on your shelf. I'm really excited because the next step for Monkey Maids is me doing the final edit, obviously, but it will mostly, the fun part for me will mostly be seeing what JL comes up with for illustrations. I asked him the other day if he was going to actually illustrate monkeys or do, like, in Dwayne, we have sort of like, inanimate objects. That's not a pinball machine, Ryan, but it's pretty close. It's the Mr. Guy Zombie Hunter arcade game. And JL wouldn't tell me what he was planning. He was like, shut up, leave it to me. This is the artist work. JL says we can realistically do 4 book launches a year. So just to catch up to the ideas we already have planned, it probably will take us the rest of our lives. Yeah, JL and I have the creator's problem of always having more that we want to do than we can actually possibly do. Ryan is going to design the Mr. Guy pinball and the Tracy Queen pinball. Excellent. Excellent. And the Pack pinball. Heck yeah. Pack pinball will be fun. A lot of visual elements to work with. And Tracy Queen too. There's a long history of pinup style pinball machines back in the day when pinball was outlawed in places because it was like gambling. People really went for the pulpy route. Oh, and Children of Gaia. Okay, yeah, we're gonna need a lot of pinball machines made, Ryan. Also, we're gonna need some neon lights created to put over the pinball machines. So, if you could just go ahead and get on that, that'd be cool. Just saying. All right, so folks, I'm gonna wrap it up. First of all, if you're interested in the weird sensibility that we've been discussing that ties together the tales from Existentia, please check out Dwayne. Like I said, there are readings from an early version of Dwayne available on YouTube that you can watch if you would like. They're just like this. There's a little preamble, and then I, start coughing and take tea breaks and whatever. But it's a good time. Or you can get it in paperback or ebook or audiobook with me reading, if you like my dulcet tones, on the Oneshi Press website store. They're all available now. Monkey Maids will likely be kickstarting in May-ish. Don't know exactly when, but keep your eyes open for that. And if you are watching this in the future, you can always find out what Oneshi Press is up to by going to oneshipress.com or kickstarter.oneshipress.com, because whatever we are fundraising for at the time will be located at kickstarter.oneshipress.com. Right now, we are fundraising for the Mag Tower, which is a Children of Gaia fantasy event. There is a tabletop game, a digital board, a digital gameplay board that you can use to play with friends from all over the world. We also have gorgeous handmade dice that you can use to play in person. And along with the game, there is a short comic that tells some of the backstory behind the game. And there is a coloring book of gorgeous, gorgeous pieces by Shadowwind, who's here in chat right now, of the fantasy creatures that live in the world in which all of it is taking place. So you can go to kickstarter.oneshipress.com right now and through March 16th, 2023, which is when that Kickstarter ends. If you were watching this in the future, you can still go to kickstarter.oneshipress.com to see what we're working on currently. So I think that's about it. I think that might be it. We've been live for almost an hour and a half. Holy moly. Wow. All right. Okay, people are talking. Okay. But I haven't gotten Ryan to commit to the Tales of Existentia pinball game yet. Maybe after a few more releases we can convince him, says JL. All right. Wink. Neon. I know a guy, says Ryan. Okay, pinball digital game with versions for each story. Ooh, a digital pinball. That makes it... that's fun. There's a brewery here in Missoula where JL and I live that has like a wall of pinball machines. I bet if we went in there and we were like, hey, we're local and we have a pinball game, they'd be like, oh my God, let's do it right now. Probably. Or we could go to Guild, the other brewery that also has pinball machines. Missoula is a thing. It's a whole vibe. That reminds me, there's a panel where Shadow walks by a brick wall. Should we put a pack logo on it? Yes, definitely should, Tech. Ryan says, pinball machines. I also know the same guy. Yeah, he sounds like a multi-talented person. This was fun. Thank you for sharing your story with us. Adrian, you're so welcome. I am so glad that you were here. It's been awesome to chat with you for a little while. JL says, wait, the musical story is going to be a full-length novel as a tale from Existentia, no? Probably. I have a full-length novel that I've been working on and off for a few years that is probably also going to be an Existentia story. But that is a long way from being done because it's just a lot of work and I don't have time to work on it. But yes, that one I'm really excited about and I want to work on it more. So maybe it won't be too far in the future when it happens. We'll see. This was great, Lynsey. Looking forward to Tale of Existentia, Book 2. Thank you, Ryan. Eileen says, love this, love you all. Can't wait for part 2 and 3. Yay! Me too. Yes, come back on March 22nd. I'll be doing this again, and I'll be reading, I think, chapters 4 through 9. There's a bunch of short chapters in there, so we'll be reading the middle of the story next time. And I am looking forward to the Pinball Oneshiverse, Ryan. Okay, folks. Whew. I don't know how people stream for long periods of time. I'm exhausted. Anyway, thank you all for being here. We will revisit with Leo and the 17 Monkeys and Liz next time, which is March 22nd, 2023 at 6 p.m. Montana time, which is 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific. I think by then we'll be on daylight savings time, so I don't know when this shit is going to stop, but I hope it's soon because I'm not looking forward to this. All right. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I really, really, really appreciate you being in chat and offering me some feedback and, getting your thoughts right up front. That really helps me focus what I'm doing in my edits over the next few weeks. So, all right. Cheers, everybody. I will see you on the 22nd, I hope, for part 2 of Monkey Maids. Cheers.